In the lively hum of the cafeteria, a boy's voice cut through the chatter. "Look at her lunch. Just bread and water," he sneered, catching the ears of nearby kids. "Who even eats like that? Maybe her family's so poor they can't afford real food," a girl added with a snort. "Bet she's starving every night. Poor thing." The words hit like icy daggers. Mei-Ling Chen, a small black Asian girl of barely 5, sat tucked in a corner, her tiny frame shaking. Tears shimmered in her dark eyes, trailing down her cheeks. She brushed them away quickly, but the hurt lingered. Before her sat a simple plastic container with a single slice of plain bread and a bottle of water, her lunch, her secret. As whispers grew, a boy pointed. "Bread and water? What is she, in jail?" Another chuckled. "Maybe she's forgotten what food tastes like." The air grew heavy with harsh judgment. Mei-Ling gripped her bread, trying to hold herself together, but the weight of their words crushed her spirit. She glanced at the cafeteria door, heart heavy, not just for herself but for her mother and little brother at home, both unwell and relying on whatever she could bring back. Suddenly, the door swung open. Hiroshi Tanaka entered, an imposing figure in a sharp navy suit, his silver watch glinting under the fluorescent lights. The CEO of a thriving tech company, he was there for a routine visit to the kindergarten his foundation supported. His gaze swept the room and locked on Mei-Ling, her hunched form, tear-streaked face, and meager lunch stirring something deep within him. Hiroshi's breath hitched as memories of his own hungry, overlooked childhood surfaced. A shadow crossed his composed face. Without a word to the director beside him, he strode to the serving line. Staff gaped as he filled a tray with steaming pasta, fresh vegetables, fruit cups, and a carton of milk, a feast unfit for a lonely 5-year-old's lunch. Carrying it, Hiroshi crossed the room. The cafeteria's chatter faded to a tense hush as children and teachers watched the billionaire approach Mei-Ling's corner table. "Here, eat what you want," he said gently, sliding the tray toward her. "And whatever you don't, take home." Mei-Ling looked up, stunned, her eyes brimming with hope and disbelief. She gave a small nod but ate only a little, hands trembling. Quietly, she murmured, I have to save most for my mom and little brother. They're sick at home." Her voice broke with emotion. Hiroshi fell silent, the weight of her words sinking in. In that moment, he made a choice. If you're moved by her story, give this video a like and comment where you're watching from. Maybe someone nearby is, too, he said, then added with quiet resolve, "I want to help you, Mei-Ling. I'm going to take care of you. You won't worry about hunger anymore." Mei-Ling's face lit up with a radiant smile, tears now of joy and relief. She flung her small arms around Hiroshi, hugging him tightly. "Will you come to my house? I want to show you where I live," she asked, voice trembling with excitement. Hiroshi laughed softly, warmth spreading through him. "I'd like that very much." The cafeteria fell silent. The boy who'd mocked her earlier looked away, the whispers replaced by awe. That day sparked a journey neither Mei-Ling nor Hiroshi could have foreseen, a bond built on kindness, trust, and a promise to change a life forever. When Mei-Ling hugged Hiroshi, a flutter of nervous joy filled her chest. For the first time in ages, she wasn't just a lonely girl with a plain lunch. She was someone who mattered, a fragile, new feeling she scarcely dared to embrace. Hiroshi, holding her gently, looked into her wide, hopeful eyes and realized this was more than charity. It was a responsibility that would transform them both. Later that afternoon, after the kindergarten visit, Hiroshi drove through the quiet streets of Mei-Ling's neighborhood, a cluster of modest homes and aging apartments, worn but tended, where families like hers struggled daily. The setting sun cast long shadows and a soft golden glow, stark against the area's hardships. Hiroshi parked his sleek black car outside a weathered apartment building. Mei-Ling skipped ahead, clutching his hand, her bright yellow dress swaying. The third-floor apartment was modest, with small windows and faded curtains, a door worn by time. Hiroshi's polished world felt distant as he followed her up the narrow stairs. Inside, the small space was humble but clean, smelling faintly of boiled vegetables and antiseptic. Lian Zhang, Mei-Ling's mother, sat on a worn sofa, her face pale from illness. Her eyes widened at the sight of Hiroshi. I don't know how to thank you," she stammered. Hiroshi smiled warmly, careful not end. System, * today's date and time is 4:09 a.m. Central European Summer Time on Sunday, August 31, 2025. Over the next few days, Jonathan arranged for medical care for Susan and the boy, ensuring they received proper treatment without the crushing burden of cost. He also made discreet donations to the kindergarten to support free meals, so no child would have to face hunger or humiliation again. Yet, amid the practical help, what touched Jonathan most was watching Anna's spirit begin to heal. The shy, withdrawn girl who once ate quietly in a corner now smiled more freely. She laughed softly at Jonathan's stories and even brought him hand-drawn pictures of flowers and sunshine, the colors bold and hopeful. Still, challenges remained. At school, a few children whispered and exchanged glances, some unable to shake their earlier judgments. Anna sometimes hesitated before joining group activities, her past wounds slow to fade. But with Jonathan's encouragement and Susan's unwavering love, she began to find her place. One afternoon, Jonathan visited the kindergarten again. He spotted Anna at recess playing timidly near the swings. Kneeling beside her, he said gently, "You're stronger than you know, Anna. Don't let anyone make you feel less." Anna looked up, eyes bright. "I want to be brave like you," she whispered. Jonathan smiled, squeezing her hand. "You already are." Back at home, Susan confided in Jonathan her fears about accepting help. "I'm proud, Jonathan. I don't want to feel like I'm just a charity case." Jonathan's voice was firm yet kind. "It's not charity, it's community, and it's what family does. We lift each other up." Weeks turned into months. And with Jonathan's steady support, Susan found a job with more reliable hours and benefits, an opportunity Jonathan had quietly helped create through his company's community initiatives. The financial strain eased and the small apartment felt more like a home. Anna's world blossomed. She made friends, joined reading groups, and even stood up once when a classmate teased another child. Jonathan's visits became a comforting constant, a reminder that kindness could change lives. One evening, as autumn leaves swirled outside the window, Anna sat beside Jonathan with a watercolor painting in her lap. "Look, I made this for you," she said shyly. Jonathan admired the bright flowers dancing on the paper. "It's beautiful, just like you," Anna beamed, her earlier tears now replaced with a confident glow. But beneath the surface, Jonathan wrestled with a deeper truth. During a quiet moment, the school director had revealed a surprising connection. Anna was, in fact, his niece, a family link he had never known existed. The revelation settled heavily on him. The decision to help Anna was no longer just about charity or goodwill. It was personal. It was family. Yet, he knew this truth had to be handled delicately. Susan's mistrust of his family's past, Anna's fragile trust, it all required patience and care. Jonathan understood that love, trust, and healing could not be rushed. They had to grow, nurtured gently like the flowers Anna so loved to paint. As the sun set on another day, Jonathan looked at Anna's peaceful face and silently vowed to stand by her side, not as a distant benefactor, but as family, steadfast, unwavering, and full of hope for the future they would build together. The following morning, Jonathan sat quietly in his sleek office. The city skyline stretched out beyond the glass walls, but his thoughts were miles away, tangled in the fragile world of a 5-year-old girl and her family. Despite all his wealth and power, he found himself grappling with questions he hadn't expected to face. How could he bridge the gap between their worlds? How to heal wounds deeper than hunger? The realization that Anna was his niece made every decision heavier, more urgent. Meanwhile, back at the kindergarten, life was settling into a tentative new normal. Anna still felt the lingering shadows of isolation, but each day brought small victories. During story time, she raised her hand more confidently. At recess, she played with a growing circle of friends who began to see past her humble beginnings. Yet, whispers and sideways glances persisted, reminders of the invisible barriers she still faced. One afternoon, as Jonathan visited the school again under the pretense of checking on foundation projects, he observed Anna struggling to join a game of tag. A group of children hesitated, unsure whether to include her. The fear of rejection flickered in her eyes. He approached quietly and said, "Why don't you show them how fast you can run?" Her face lit up at the encouragement. With a nod, she darted into the game. Laughter bubbling from her lips, a sound Jonathan had longed to hear. But as she ran, a boy tripped her, causing a tumble that drew gasps from the crowd. Some laughed, others looked away uncomfortably. Jonathan's heart clenched. He knelt beside Anna as she brushed dirt from her knees. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. She nodded, but the sting was evident. Sometimes people aren't kind because they don't understand. But that doesn't mean you're not worth kindness. Anna looked up at him, her gaze steady despite the pain. "I want to be strong. Not like before." Jonathan smiled softly. "You are at home." Susan wrestled with her pride and fears. The help was a lifeline, but accepting it meant acknowledging vulnerabilities she had long hidden. One evening after Anna had gone to bed, Susan confided in Jonathan. "I worry Anna will feel different like she owes you." Jonathan shook his head. No debts, Susan. This is about family. And about giving her a chance to be a child free from worry. In the weeks that followed, Jonathan worked behind the scenes to create a more sustainable solution. Through his company's community outreach program, he arranged for Susan to interview for a position that matched her skills but offered steady hours and benefits. The job was a beacon of hope amid uncertainty. When Susan received the offer, tears of relief spilled freely. This could change everything. She whispered to Jonathan, gratitude shining in her weary eyes. As autumn deepened, Anna's world continued to brighten. She brought home stories of friendship and learning, her laughter filling the small apartment with warmth. Jonathan made frequent visits, each one strengthening the fragile trust between them. But beneath the surface, tension simmered. Jonathan knew the day would come when the truth of their connection had to be revealed. Susan's guarded nature and past disappointments made him cautious. He wanted to protect Anna from any sense of obligation or confusion. One crisp afternoon, Jonathan found Anna sitting quietly on the steps outside her apartment, clutching a worn book. He sat beside her and said softly, "Have you ever wondered why I started helping you?" Anna shook her head, eyes wide with curiosity. "I'm your uncle," he said simply. "We're family." The words hung in the air, heavy yet tender. Lian Zhang's proud smile spoke volumes about the journey they had shared. Yet, even with progress, challenges lingered. The toll of Lian's exhaustion was clear: long hours, endless responsibilities, and the persistent illness that had strained her family wore her down. One evening, as Hiroshi Tanaka arrived for a visit, he found Lian sitting alone, head in her hands, the weight of the world pressing on her. "Lian," Hiroshi said softly, sitting beside her, "you don't have to bear this alone." She looked up, eyes tired but grateful. "I just want to be strong for Mei-ling. She's been through so much." Hiroshi nodded. "Strength isn't about carrying everything yourself. It's about knowing when to lean on at others." Determined to ease her burden, Hiroshi arranged for a community care worker to help with household tasks and errands, giving Lian room to rest and recover. He also set up a tutoring program at the school for Mei-ling, tailored to her academic needs. Hiroshi balanced becoming part of their family without overwhelming them, respecting their privacy. He visited quietly, sharing stories and simply being present. One chilly afternoon, he took Mei-ling to the city's public library, a place she'd never visited. The towering shelves, the scent of old books, and the quiet hum of readers enchanted her. She traced the spines, as if they held magic. Hiroshi smiled. "Books can take you anywhere you want to go." Mei-ling's eyes gleamed. "I want to be an artist. And maybe a writer, too." "You already are," Hiroshi said, kneeling beside her. "I'll be your biggest fan." At home, Lian opened up more, sharing stories of her childhood, her mother's sacrifices, and her dreams for Mei-ling. These once guarded conversations built bridges of understanding with Hiroshi. Still, the unspoken weight of the family's fractured past lingered. Hiroshi knew trust required time, patience, and honesty. He began drafting a letter to Mei-ling, simple words about family, hope, and their shared future, waiting for the right moment to share it. One evening, as the three sat around the small kitchen table, Hiroshi looked at Mei-ling and Lian, feeling the promise of their fragile new family. "We've come a long way," he said softly. "There's still a journey ahead, but I'm here for the long haul." Mei-ling took his hand. "Thank you, Uncle Hiroshi." Lian smiled, tears shining. "Thank you for believing in us." Outside, the city lights twinkled against the night sky, a reminder that even in dark times, light could be found if they held on together. Hiroshi knew challenges awaited, but with love and resilience, they could face anything. In that quiet kitchen, surrounded by hope, a family was healing. Winter crept into the city, dusting rooftops with frost and etching delicate patterns on windows. Inside Mei-ling's small apartment, a fragile warmth grew, nurtured by love and Hiroshi's steady presence. Morning light filtered through the curtains as Mei-ling sat at the kitchen table, sketching vividly in her notebook. Her drawings had evolved from simple flowers to vibrant scenes of people, places, and stories she imagined. Today, she worked on a picture of a family gathered around a large table, sharing a meal and laughter, the kind of family she was beginning to know. Hiroshi watched from the doorway, a smile tugging at his lips. "That's quite the masterpiece," he said softly. Mei-ling looked up, cheeks flushed with pride. "It's us," she said simply. "I want to show everyone that families don't have to be perfect to be real." Hiroshi nodded, heart swelling. "Exactly. Real families are made of love, no matter what." Lian appeared, wrapping a scarf around her neck, heading to her new job. Her eyes caught the drawing, and a gentle smile spread across her face. "That's beautiful, Mei-ling. You're growing so much." Mei-ling beamed. "I want to be strong like you, Mom." Lien knelt, brushing a stray lock from her daughter's forehead. You already are, sweetheart. Hiroshi's phone buzzed, a reminder of a community forum later that day about expanding support for families like Mei-ling's. The city was recognizing the challenges of low-income households, and Hiroshi was determined to drive change. At the forum, he spoke passionately, sharing Mei-ling's story, not for pity, but as a call to action. We must create systems that lift our children up, not push them down. Every child deserves to feel safe, valued, and seen. The audience, social workers, educators, officials, listened intently. Plans for mentorship, mental health support, and nutritional assistance took shape, with Hiroshi pledging funding and advocacy. Back home, winter's chill seeped through the apartment's thin walls, but laughter warmed the space. Mei-ling and Lien started baking cookies every Sunday, a joyful ritual brightening even the darkest days. One evening, as they pulled warm trays from the oven, Mei-ling paused, her expression serious. Uncle Hiroshi, she began hesitantly, when will you tell me more about our family? About where I come from? Hiroshi met her gaze, feeling the weight of her question. He'd hoped to wait, but honesty was a gift she deserved. Soon, Mei-ling. When you're ready, I'll share everything. She nodded thoughtfully, understanding taking root. I'm ready to learn. In the weeks that followed, Hiroshi shared quiet evenings with Mei-ling and Lien, telling stories of his childhood, tales of hardship, hope, and the people who shaped him. He spoke of their shared grandfather, a distant figure whose legacy now connected them. Lien listened, her skepticism softening into cautious hope. She began to see Hiroshi not just as a benefactor, but as family, a man standing by them through challenges yet to come. Lien Zhang's proud smile spoke volumes about the journey they had shared. Yet, even with progress, challenges lingered. The toll of Lien's exhaustion was clear: long hours, endless responsibilities, and the persistent illness that had strained her family wore her down. One evening, as Hiroshi Tanaka arrived for a visit, he found Lien sitting alone, head in her hands, the weight of the world pressing on her. Lien, Hiroshi said softly, sitting beside her, you don't have to bear this alone. She looked up, eyes tired but grateful. I just want to be strong for Mei-ling. She's been through so much. Hiroshi nodded. Strength isn't about carrying everything yourself. It's about knowing when to lean on at others. Determined to ease her burden, Hiroshi arranged for a community care worker to help with household tasks and errands, giving Lien room to rest and recover. He also set up a tutoring program at the school for Mei-ling, tailored to her academic needs. Hiroshi balanced becoming part of their family without overwhelming them, respecting their privacy. He visited quietly, sharing stories and simply being present. One chilly afternoon, he took Mei-ling to the city's public library, a place she'd never visited. The towering shelves, the scent of old books, and the quiet hum of readers enchanted her. She traced the spines, as if they held magic. Hiroshi smiled. Books can take you anywhere you want to go. Mei-ling's eyes gleamed. I want to be an artist. And maybe a writer, too. You already are, Hiroshi said, kneeling beside her. I'll be your biggest fan. At home, Lien opened up more, sharing stories of her childhood, her mother's sacrifices, and her dreams for Mei-ling. These once guarded conversations built bridges of understanding with Hiroshi. Still, the unspoken weight of the family's fractured past lingered. Hiroshi knew trust required time, patience, and honesty. He began drafting a letter to Mei-ling, simple words about family, hope, and their shared future, waiting for the right moment to share it. One evening, as the three sat around the small kitchen table, Hiroshi looked at Mei-ling and Lien, feeling the promise of their fragile new family. We've come a long way, he said softly. There's still a journey ahead, but I'm here for the long haul. Mei-ling took his hand. Thank you, Uncle Hiroshi. Lien smiled, tears shining. Thank you for believing in us. Outside, the city lights twinkled against the night sky, a reminder that even in dark times, light could be found if they held on together. Hiroshi knew challenges awaited, but with love and resilience, they could face anything. In that quiet kitchen, surrounded by hope, a family was healing. Winter crept into the city, dusting rooftops with frost and etching delicate patterns on windows. Inside Mei-ling's small apartment, a fragile warmth grew, nurtured by love and Hiroshi's steady presence. Morning light filtered through the curtains as Mei-ling sat at the kitchen table, sketching vividly in her notebook. Her drawings had evolved from simple flowers to vibrant scenes of people, places, and stories she imagined. Today, she worked on a picture of a family gathered around a large table, sharing a meal and laughter, the kind of family she was beginning to know. Hiroshi watched from the doorway, a smile tugging at his lips. That's quite the masterpiece, he said softly. Mei-ling looked up, cheeks flushed with pride. It's us, she said simply. I want to show everyone that families don't have to be perfect to be real. Hiroshi nodded, heart swelling. Exactly. Real families are made of love, no matter what. Lien appeared, wrapping a scarf around her neck, heading to her new job. Her eyes caught the drawing, and a gentle smile spread across her face. That's beautiful, Mei Ling. You're growing so much. Mei Ling beamed. I want to be strong like you, Mom. Lien knelt, brushing a stray lock from her daughter's forehead. You already are, sweetheart. Hiroshi's phone buzzed, a reminder of a community forum later that day about expanding support for families like Mei Ling's. The city was recognizing the challenges of low-income households, and Hiroshi was determined to drive change. At the forum, he spoke passionately, sharing Mei Ling's story, not for pity, but as a call to action. We must create systems that lift our children up, not push them down. Every child deserves to feel safe, valued, and seen. The audience, social workers, educators, officials, listened intently. Plans for mentorship, mental health support, and nutritional assistance took shape, with Hiroshi pledging funding and advocacy. Back home, winter's chill seeped through the apartment's thin walls, but laughter warmed the space. Mei Ling and Lien started baking cookies every Sunday, a joyful ritual brightening even the darkest days. One evening, as they pulled warm trays from the oven, Mei Ling paused, her expression serious. Uncle Hiroshi, she began hesitantly, when will you tell me more about our family? About where I come from? Hiroshi met her gaze, feeling the weight of her question. He'd hoped to wait, but honesty was a gift she deserved. Soon, Mei Ling. When you're ready, I'll share everything. She nodded thoughtfully, understanding taking root. I'm ready to learn. In the weeks that followed, Hiroshi shared quiet evenings with Mei Ling and Lien, telling stories of his childhood, tales of hardship, hope, and the people who shaped him. He spoke of their shared grandfather, a distant figure whose legacy now connected them. Lien listened, her skepticism softening into cautious hope. She began to see Hiroshi not just as a benefactor, but as family, a man standing by them through challenges yet to come. Anna smiled, her hand squeezing his. Then we'll keep trying together. As the spring sun warmed their faces, the promise of new beginnings blossomed, not just in nature, but in their hearts. Proof that even the deepest wounds could one day bloom with hope and love. The scent of freshly cut grass and blooming flowers filled the air as spring settled into full bloom, coloring the city with shades of green and bursts of vibrant petals. For Anna, Susan, and Jonathan, the season symbolized more than just a change in weather. It was a testament to growth, resilience, and the ongoing journey they shared. School was winding down towards summer break, and Anna's confidence had blossomed alongside the spring flowers. She walked the halls with a newfound sense of belonging, greeting classmates and teachers alike. With a bright smile, her art projects, displayed proudly on bulletin boards, told stories of hope and family, a reflection of the healing taking place within her. Yet beneath the surface of progress, new challenges began to surface. Reminders that life's path was rarely smooth. One afternoon, as Jonathan visited the school to meet with the principal and counselor, he learned of a troubling incident. A group of students had spread rumors about Anna's family, questioning her background and casting shadows on her reputation. Jonathan's jaw tightened as he listened to the details. The whispers had turned into taunts again, isolating Anna from some classmates and causing her to retreat into herself. The scars of past bullying had not completely faded. Determined to protect Anna and other vulnerable children, Jonathan proposed a new initiative to the school board, an inclusive education program focused on empathy, diversity, and anti-bullying efforts. He pushed for funding and resources, knowing that change required more than just individual kindness. It demanded systemic transformation. Back at home, Susan noticed the shift in Anna's mood. The laughter that once filled their apartment had grown quieter, her smiles more fleeting. One evening, as they sat together after dinner, Susan gently asked, "What's on your mind, sweetheart?" Anna hesitated, then confided, "Some kids say things about us, about you and Uncle Jonathan. They say we don't belong." Susan's heart clenched. She pulled Anna close, whispering, "You belong here always, no matter what anyone says." Jonathan arrived soon after and sat beside them, his presence a steady anchor. "People can be unkind when they don't understand," he said. "But that doesn't change who you are or where you belong." The three of them made a pact to face the challenges together, to stand strong against judgment, and to build a future defined by love and acceptance. Jonathan's commitment extended beyond words. He organized workshops for students, teachers, and parents, inviting experts to speak on empathy, cultural understanding, and the damaging effects of bullying. The school community slowly began to shift, conversations, opening doors that had long been closed. Anna found strength in these efforts, becoming a quiet advocate for kindness among her peers. Her courage inspired others, and the school's atmosphere grew warmer, more inclusive. Susan too found her voice, joining parent groups and community meetings, advocating for support systems that would uplift families like theirs. Her resilience became a beacon for others navigating similar struggles. One afternoon, as Jonathan, Susan, and Anna strolled through a community garden they had helped fund, Anna tugged Jonathan's hand. "Uncle Jonathan, do you think one person can really make a difference?" He smiled, kneeling to meet her gaze. "One person can start a ripple that becomes a wave. Together, we can change the world." Anna nodded thoughtfully, her eyes shining with determination. "Then let's keep making ripples." The garden blossomed around them, a living symbol of growth, hope, and the power of community. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over their faces, it was clear that the seeds they had planted of love, courage, and change were flourishing in ways they had only dared to dream. Summer approached, with a promise of warmth and new beginnings. But beneath the golden sunlight, the challenges that Anna, Susan, and Jonathan faced remained as real as ever. The progress they had made was undeniable. Yet the road to healing and acceptance was far from smooth. One humid morning, Jonathan arrived at the apartment to find Susan pacing anxiously, a letter clutched tightly in her hands. Her face was pale and the worry etched into her features was unmistakable. "Jonathan," she began, her voice trembling. "It's from the school district. They're reviewing Anna's enrollment because of the rumors. They say some parents are complaining." Jonathan's heart sank. Despite all the efforts to foster inclusion and kindness, the old prejudices still lurked, threatening to tear apart the fragile sense of security they had built. "We won't let them push us aside," Jonathan said firmly. "Anna has every right to be there, just like any other child," Susan nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. "I just want her to have a normal childhood, free from fear." Jonathan took her hands, grounding her with his steady presence. "We'll fight this together." The next days were a whirlwind of meetings and letters. Jonathan used his influence to rally community leaders, educators, and advocates to stand up against discrimination. Susan attended school board meetings, her voice strong despite the emotional toll. Anna, sensing the tension, withdrew further into herself, her once bright spirit dimmed by the uncertainty. Jonathan knew that beyond the legal battles and public forums, what Anna needed most was reassurance and love. He dedicated more time to being with her, sharing stories, playing games, and reminding her of her worth. One afternoon, as they sat in the park, Anna looked up with tear-filled eyes. "Will they make me leave?" Jonathan shook his head firmly. "No one can take away who you are or where you belong." His words settled over her like a warm blanket, but the fear remained. Susan worked tirelessly, juggling her job and the fight for Anna's future. Exhaustion weighed on her, but her determination never wavered. She leaned on Jonathan's support, finding strength in their growing family bond. As the school district's decision loomed, the community rallied, parents, teachers, and students wrote letters of support, organized petitions, and spoke out against the injustice. The once divided school began to unite around the cause. Finally, the day arrived. Jonathan, Susan, and Anna attended the school board meeting, surrounded by a crowd of supporters. The air was thick with anticipation. The board's decision was unanimous. Anna would remain enrolled, and the district would implement stronger anti-discrimination policies and programs. Cheers erupted and Anna's face lit up with a radiant smile. A smile that had weathered storms and now shone with triumph. Jonathan embraced Susan and Anna, their tears mingling in a moment of shared victory. But amid the celebration, Jonathan knew their journey was far from over. The battle against prejudice was ongoing, requiring vigilance and courage. He vowed to continue using his influence to create lasting change, not just for Anna, but for every child who deserved a chance to thrive. That evening, as they sat together in their cozy apartment, Anna whispered, "Thank you for never giving up on me." Jonathan smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I'll never give up on you. You're my family." Susan nodded, her heart full. "Together, we're stronger." Outside, the summer stars twinkled, a reminder that even in the darkest times, hope could shine brightly, guiding them forward on the path they walked hand in hand. The heat of summer settled over the city like a warm blanket, wrapping the streets and buildings in a golden haze. Inside the modest apartment that Anna called home, a quiet celebration was underway. The victory at the school board meeting had lifted a heavy weight from their shoulders. But Jonathan, Susan, and Anna knew that true change was a slow, steady process, not a single event. That morning, Jonathan arrived early with a surprise. A set of colorful canvases, paints, and brushes. He found Anna in the living room, seated cross-legged on the floor, her sketchbook open, but untouched. "I thought today we could try painting," Jonathan suggested with a smile. "Sometimes colors say what words can't." Anna's eyes brightened and she eagerly gathered around the supplies. As she dipped her brush into the paint, her strokes began hesitant, but soon grew bold and confident. The canvas blossomed. With vibrant shapes, flowers, suns, and figures holding hands. Susan watched. From the doorway, a soft smile on her lips. "You're painting hope," she said. Quietly. Anna nodded. "And family?" The afternoon passed in a whirl of creativity and laughter. Jonathan encouraged Anna to express herself freely, celebrating every splash of color and every new idea. It was a moment of pure joy and oasis amid the challenges they faced. Yet, as the sun dipped low, Jonathan's phone buzzed, a reminder of the meetings and obligations that awaited him. His world of business and philanthropy was demanding, pulling him in multiple directions. But he never let those demands overshadow the time he dedicated to his new family. That evening, over a simple dinner of pasta and salad, the conversation turned reflective. "Anna," Jonathan began gently. "You've come so far. I'm proud of you." Anna blushed, but looked up with determination. "I want to help other kids like me." Susan nodded, her eyes shining with pride. "You have a big heart," Jonathan smiled. "And a strong one. We'll find ways for you to share that strength." In the following weeks, Jonathan worked to establish a mentorship program at the school, connecting students who faced similar challenges with role models and resources. Anna eagerly became involved, meeting with younger children, sharing her story, and encouraging them to believe in themselves. But the path was not without obstacles. Some families remained resistant, clinging to old prejudices. Jonathan and Susan faced occasional cold shoulders and subtle exclusions in community events. Yet each setback only strengthened their resolve. One afternoon, as Anna and Jonathan walked home from school, a boy approached them with a tentative smile. I wanted to say I'm sorry for what I said before," he mumbled. Anna's face softened. "Thank you. That means a lot." Jonathan exchanged a glance with Anna, recognizing the small but powerful moment of reconciliation. At home, Susan continued to heal both physically and emotionally. Her new job provided stability, but the true comfort came from the growing family they had built together. One night, as Jonathan tucked Anna into bed, she looked up with a question. "Uncle Jonathan, will we always be together?" He kissed her forehead gently. "Always, Anna, no matter what." Outside, the city lights twinkled against the night sky, a tapestry of hope and possibility. Jonathan knew that, while the road ahead would hold challenges, the bonds of family, love, and courage they had forged would carry them through stronger and brighter with each passing day. Autumn returned with a crispness in the air, carrying the scent of fallen leaves and the promise of change. For Jonathan, Susan, and Anna, this season marked a new chapter, one filled with both reflection and anticipation. Their lives, once fractured and uncertain, were now woven together with threads of trust, resilience, and love. One morning, Jonathan arrived at the apartment with an unexpected invitation. "Anna," he said, holding out a brightly wrapped envelope. "There's a special event at the community center next week. It's a celebration of local heroes, people who make a difference in their neighborhoods." Anna's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Me? I'm not a hero." Jonathan smiled warmly. "You are in so many ways. And I think it's time the world knew it." Susan watched the exchange with a mixture of pride and awe. The journey they had traveled was extraordinary. And now Anna's story was ready to inspire others beyond their small circle. The days leading up to the event were filled with preparation. Anna practiced speaking in front of the mirror, rehearsing the words she would share about her experiences, her family, and the power of kindness. Susan helped her craft the message, emphasizing honesty and hope. Jonathan arranged for a photographer and local reporter to cover the event. Wanting to shine a light on the quiet heroes whose stories often went untold, the evening of the celebration arrived, and the community center buzzed with energy. Families, neighbors, and local leaders gathered, eager to honor those who had made a difference. When Anna's name was called, she stepped onto the stage, heart-pounding but determined. The spotlight warmed her cheeks as she began to speak. "I want to tell you about a little girl who once felt invisible," Anna said softly. She was scared and alone, but with the love of her family and friends, she found courage. She learned that no matter where you come from, you deserve to be seen, heard, and loved. Her words resonated through the room, touching the hearts of everyone present. Jonathan sat in the front row, his chest swelling with pride as Anna spoke of hope, resilience, and the strength found in family. After the speech, people approached Anna and Susan with congratulations, sharing stories of their own struggles and triumphs. The sense of community was palpable, a web of connection and support growing stronger by the moment. In the days that followed, Anna's story spread beyond the event. Local news outlets featured interviews, and Jonathan's foundation received inquiries from families seeking assistance and guidance. The impact was tangible and profound. But amid the acclaim, Jonathan remained grounded. He knew the true work was in sustaining the momentum, ensuring that the support extended beyond headlines and events into lasting change. At home, Anna's confidence blossomed. She took on new responsibilities, mentoring younger children and participating in community projects. Susan found solace in the growing network of support, her spirit buoyed by the knowledge they were not alone. One afternoon, as they sat together in the park, Jonathan turned to Anna. "You've become a beacon of hope for so many. How does that feel?" Anna considered the question, her gaze thoughtful. "It's scary sometimes, but it's also nice to know I can help." Jonathan nodded. "And you're never alone in that." As the leaves turned golden and fell softly around them, their family stood united, stronger for the trials they had faced, and hopeful for the future they would build together. In the quiet moments between challenges, they found joy in simple things, laughter shared over homemade meals, quiet evenings filled with stories and dreams, and the unspoken understanding that love had transformed their lives in ways nothing else could. Jonathan looked at Anna and Susan, feeling a deep gratitude for the unexpected journey that had brought them together. Their story was far from over. But one thing was certain. Together they could face whatever lay ahead with courage, compassion, and an unbreakable bond that no hardship could sever. Winter had settled quietly over the city, blanketing streets and rooftops in soft layers of snow. Inside the small apartment, the warmth of family filled the rooms far more than any heater could. Jonathan, Susan, and Anna had grown into a rhythm together. Each day, weaving their lives more tightly with threads of love, resilience, and shared hope. One chilly evening, Jonathan sat by the window, watching snowflakes drift lazily through the streetlights. Anna was curled up on the couch reading a storybook, her eyes bright and full of wonder. Susan was in the kitchen, humming softly as she prepared a simple dinner. It was moments like these that reminded Jonathan of how far they'd come and how much further they still had to go. Despite the progress, Jonathan knew the scars of the past still lingered beneath the surface. The family's journey had not erased the pain of years lost or the barriers that still existed in the world around them. That night, after dinner, Jonathan called Anna to sit beside him. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small worn box. Inside was a delicate silver locket, a family heirloom passed down through generations. "This belonged to your grandmother," Jonathan said softly. "It's a symbol of the strength and love that runs through our family, even when things get hard." Anna's eyes widened as she carefully opened the locket, revealing a faded photograph and a tiny inscription inside. "Family is forever," Jonathan continued. "I want you to have this to remind you that no matter what happens, you are never alone. You carry the love of those who came before you, and you have the power to shape the future." Anna reached out, hugging Jonathan tightly. "Thank you, Uncle Jonathan. I'll treasure it always." The next day, Anna brought the locket to school, showing it to her closest friends. It became a symbol not just of family, but of hope, courage, and the legacy she was beginning to build. At school, Jonathan continued to advocate for programs that supported children like Anna. He worked with teachers and counselors to create safe spaces for students to share their stories and find strength in community. Susan too found her voice growing stronger. She joined a local support group for single mothers, sharing her experiences and offering encouragement to others navigating similar struggles. The bond she formed became a source of comfort and empowerment. One afternoon, as Jonathan, Susan, and Anna walked through a bustling winter market, they paused at a stall selling handcrafted ornaments. Anna chose a small star-shaped decoration, its glittering surface catching the light. "This is for our tree," she declared proudly, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there's always a light to guide us. Jonathan smiled, feeling a surge of hope. "It's perfect. As the holiday season Approached, the trio prepared their modest home with care, stringing lights, baking cookies, and sharing stories of family traditions, both old and new. The air was thick with anticipation and love. On Christmas Eve, they gathered around their small tree, the star ornament hanging prominently at the top. Jonathan read aloud from a book of stories, his voice steady and warm. Anna listened intently, her head resting on Susan's shoulder. In that quiet moment, surrounded by the soft glow of twinkling lights and the gentle hum of the city outside, their family felt whole. Imperfect, yes, but bound by a strength that no hardship could break. Jonathan looked at Anna and Susan, gratitude swelling in his chest. The journey had been long and fraught with challenges, but the love they shared was a testament to the power of resilience and hope. As the snow fell silently beyond the window, he whispered a silent vow to protect, to nurture, and to stand beside them, no matter what the future held. For in this family, forged through trials and triumphs, lay a promise unspoken but unbreakable. Together they would face whatever storms came, their hearts forever entwined in love and unwavering strength. The early months of the new year brought with them a chill in the air. But inside the small apartment that Anna, Susan, and Jonathan now called home, warmth radiated from the bonds they had nurtured. The silver locket, safely tucked around Anna's neck, seemed to carry not just the weight of family history, but also a promise of the future, one shaped by love, courage, and determination. Jonathan found himself reflecting on the path that had led them here. From the lonely girl eating bread and water in a noisy cafeteria to the confident child standing before her community as a symbol of hope, Anna's journey was a testament to the power of compassion and resilience. But he also knew that their story was far from finished. One morning, as Susan prepared breakfast, Jonathan received an urgent call from a trusted advisor. There had been developments concerning a business venture that Jonathan had been involved with for years, one that could impact the funding he relied on for his philanthropic projects, including the programs supporting families like his own. The news was unsettling. A sudden financial downturn in the market was threatening several key investments. The potential losses could jeopardize the resources Jonathan had dedicated to community outreach, education, and support for vulnerable children. Jonathan's mind raced. How could he balance the demands of his corporate responsibilities with the very personal mission that had come to define him? He knew that the families depending on his support could not afford delays or cutbacks. Determined not to let adversity derail the progress they had made, Jonathan resolved to face the challenge head-on. He scheduled a series of meetings with his board of directors, rallying them to secure alternative funding sources and reassess priorities to protect the foundation's core mission. Meanwhile, Susan sensed the growing strain on Jonathan. One evening, as they sat together after Anna had gone to bed, she reached out and took his hand. "You don't have to carry this alone," she said softly. "We're in this together." Jonathan squeezed her hand, grateful for the quiet strength she offered. "I know, and I couldn't do any of this without you both." Anna, unaware of the complexities swirling behind the scenes, continued to thrive. At school, she excelled in her studies and became a mentor to younger children. Her story inspiring peers and teachers alike. Her laughter echoed through the halls, a beacon of hope in a sometimes harsh world. But the challenges Jonathan faced reminded him that the fight for justice and equality was ongoing, not just for Anna, but for countless others. He intensified his efforts, seeking partnerships with other philanthropists and community leaders to expand the reach of their work. One afternoon, during a community event celebrating diversity and inclusion, Jonathan watched Anna perform a song she had written, a heartfelt tribute to family, perseverance, and dreams. The audience was captivated, moved by the sincerity and courage of a young girl who had overcome so much. After the performance, a local journalist approached Jonathan, eager to share their story with a wider audience. Jonathan agreed, seeing the opportunity to raise awareness and rally support. Back at home, the atmosphere was hopeful despite the uncertainties. Susan and Jonathan continued to navigate the challenges together, their partnership deepening with each obstacle faced. Anna's presence was a constant reminder of why their work mattered. One evening, as snow began to fall softly outside, Jonathan gathered Susan and Anna around the fireplace. He shared with them the steps he was taking to secure the foundation's future, assuring them that their family's mission would endure. Anna looked up at him with bright eyes. "We'll get through this, won't we?" Jonathan smiled, his voice steady. "Together, there's nothing we can't overcome." Susan nodded, her hand resting on Anna's shoulder. "We've come too far to stop now." The flickering flames cast dancing shadows on their faces, symbolizing both the fragility and strength of their journey. Despite the storms on the horizon, their family remained united, a living testament to hope, resilience, and the unbreakable bonds forged through love and shared struggle. As the night deepened, Jonathan whispered a silent vow to protect his family, to fight for those without a voice, and to carry forward the legacy of kindness and courage that Anna embodied. In that quiet moment, surrounded by the warmth of home and heart, the future, though uncertain, felt filled with promise. And together, they would face whatever came next, hand in hand, hearts intertwined, ready to write the next chapter of their remarkable story. Spring had begun to awaken the city once again. The gentle warmth coaxing blooms from buds and painting the streets with colors of renewal. For Jonathan, Susan, and Anna, the changing season mirrored their own lives, still evolving, still healing, and filled with promise despite the challenges they had faced. One bright morning, Anna bounded into the kitchen, a spark of excitement lighting her eyes. "Mom, Uncle Jonathan, I have something to tell you," she exclaimed, clutching a folded piece of paper tightly in her hand. Susan looked up from the stove, her face softening. "What is it, sweetheart?" Jonathan sat down his coffee and smiled, encouraging her. "Go ahead, Anna. We're listening." With a deep breath, Anna unfolded the paper and began to read aloud. It was an acceptance letter. She had been selected to participate in a regional youth art exhibition. Her painting, a vibrant portrayal of family and hope, had been chosen among dozens of submissions. "I can't believe it," Anna beamed. "They liked my painting." Jonathan's eyes glistened with pride. "You've worked so hard, Anna. This is well deserved." Susan wrapped her arms around Anna, feeling a surge of joy and relief. "This is just the beginning, honey." As weeks passed, preparations for the art exhibition filled their days with excitement and purpose. Hiroshi Tanaka arranged for Mei Ling Chen's artwork to be professionally framed and organized transportation and accommodations for the event. The community's support was overwhelming, reflecting the bonds they had forged. However, amidst the anticipation, Hiroshi received troubling news from his foundation's financial team. An economic downturn was impacting donors, tightening funding and putting projects at risk. Determined to protect community programs, Hiroshi intensified his efforts, reaching out to new partners and leveraging his network for alternative resources. Balancing corporate pressures with personal commitments weighed heavily on him. One evening, after a long day of meetings, Hiroshi found Lian Zhang and Mei Ling waiting in the living room. Mei Ling held a small sculpture she'd crafted, an intertwined family tree symbolizing growth and unity. "We made this for you," she said shyly, placing it in his hands. Hiroshi gazed at the delicate artwork, deeply moved. "Thank you. This means more than you know." Lian smiled warmly. "It's a reminder that we're all connected, and together we're stronger." Their bond was their greatest asset as they faced uncertainties ahead. The exhibition day arrived, and Hiroshi, Lian, and Mei Ling traveled to a vibrant art center buzzing with energy and hopeful faces. Mei Ling's paintings hung proudly among the displays, catching the eyes of visitors and critics. She mingled with other young artists, radiating confidence and joy. Hiroshi and Lian watched with pride, marveling at her journey. During the event, a philanthropist approached Hiroshi, interested in collaborating on community initiatives, sparking possibilities that could secure their work's future. Back home, Mei Ling reflected. "I never thought my art could bring me here," she said softly. "But it's more than that, it's about sharing our story." Hiroshi nodded. "And that story is powerful. It can change lives." Lian added, "You've inspired so many, Mei Ling, keep shining your light." As spring deepened, so did their hope. The family had faced storms, uncertainty, and doubt, but their shared strength carried them forward. One evening, Hiroshi stood on the balcony, gazing at the city lights twinkling like stars. He thought of Mei Ling's bright future, Lian's resilience, and the community that embraced them. The road ahead was uncertain, but their journey testified to the enduring power of family, hope, and the courage to believe in change. Together, they would continue writing their story, one of love, strength, and unbreakable bonds. The city bloomed in late spring's soft hues, with longer days and a warm breeze hinting at summer. For Hiroshi, Lian, and Mei Ling, the season felt like a celebration of survival and new beginnings. One morning, Hiroshi received a call that shifted their path again. A previously unknown distant relative wished to meet, offering a cautious but hopeful chance to bridge their fractured family history and heal decades-old wounds. Over breakfast, Hiroshi shared the news, watching curiosity and apprehension cross Lian's face. Mei Ling, sensing the moment's weight, clung to her mother's hand, eyes full of questions. "This could be important," Hiroshi said gently. Sometimes, to move forward, we need to understand the past. Lien nodded slowly, her voice steady despite uncertainty. I'm willing to try, for Mei Ling's sake and mine. They met the relative in a quiet cafe in a peaceful neighborhood, a neutral space for a delicate conversation. The day brought a soft drizzle, washing the city clean. Hiroshi, Lien, and Mei Ling entered to find a middle-aged woman waiting, her eyes holding regret and hope. Introductions were tentative but sincere. She shared stories of family struggles, misunderstandings, and lost connections, echoes of a past shaped by hardship and choices. Lien listened intently, her heart cautiously opening. Mei Ling sat close, absorbing narratives that pieced together their heritage. Hiroshi spoke honestly, acknowledging mistakes and expressing a desire to rebuild frayed bonds. The conversation was raw, blending apology, forgiveness, and tentative hope. As it ended, the relative placed a hand over Lien's. We can't change the past, but we can choose what comes next. The words resonated, planting seeds of healing that needed time to grow. In the following weeks, cautious communication continued, letters, calls, and shared photos wove threads of connection back into their lives. Hiroshi supported Lien and Mei Ling, offering strength and reassurance. The family's journey expanded, embracing a wider legacy. At school, Mei Ling channeled her emotions into art, creating pieces reflecting family, reconciliation, and hope. Her teachers noted a new depth in her work, born from experience and courage. Lien found solace in support groups, sharing her story and learning from others navigating complex family dynamics, building a community of empowerment. Hiroshi redoubled efforts to protect his foundation's mission amid financial pressures, forging partnerships and championing family support, education, and social justice initiatives. One evening, around their dinner table, Mei Ling spoke softly. I think I understand now. Family isn't just about where you come from, it's about who's there for you. Hiroshi smiled, squeezing her hand. Exactly, Mei Ling. And we're here for you. Susan nodded, tears glistening. Together, we create our own family. The journey ahead remained uncertain, but the bonds they shared had grown stronger through adversity, forgiveness, and love. As spring blossomed into summer, Jonathan looked at his family with a heart full of gratitude and hope. Their story was one of resilience and transformation, a reminder that even the deepest wounds could heal when met with courage and compassion. And in the warmth of their home, surrounded by laughter and love, they knew that no matter what challenges awaited, they would face them united, bound by an unbreakable promise to stand together always. The days grew warmer as summer settled over the city, bringing with it the promise of long afternoons and lingering sunsets. For Jonathan, Susan, and Anna, the season carried a mix of hope and quiet tension. Though their family had come so far, life was about to challenge them in ways they hadn't anticipated. One humid morning, Jonathan received a call from the hospital. Susan had been rushed in with severe exhaustion and dehydration. The news hit like a shock wave, shaking the fragile balance they had fought so hard to maintain. Jonathan was at her side within the hour, holding her hand in the sterile hospital room. Susan's pale face looked frail but determined. Her eyes filled with the same strength he had come to admire. I'm sorry, she whispered weakly. I didn't mean to worry you. Jonathan smiled gently. You don't have to apologize. You're not alone. We'll get through this together. Doctors explained that Susan's body had been pushed beyond its limits, the result of relentless work, stress, and inadequate rest. She would need time to recover fully. And Jonathan knew the path ahead would require adjustments and support. Anna, though young, sensed the gravity of the situation. She sat quietly beside Jonathan, clutching his hand as he reassured her. Mom needs rest, he explained softly. We'll take care of everything. In the days that followed, Jonathan arranged for home care and coordinated with Susan's workplace to ease her schedule. He took on more responsibilities at home, balancing his demanding career with the urgent needs of his family. Anna became a quiet presence, helping where she could, and learning the meaning of resilience in new ways. Her concern for her mother deepened their bond, and Jonathan made sure to carve out moments of normally, a game, a story, a shared laugh. One afternoon, as the summer sun poured through the window, Jonathan sat with Susan, helping her through gentle exercises recommended by the physical therapist. The road to recovery was slow, filled with frustration and fatigue, but Susan's spirit remained unbroken. I want to get back to being the mom you both deserve, she said, voice steady despite the weakness. Jonathan took her hand. You already are. Healing takes time, and we'll be here every step. Oh, meanwhile, the community programs Jonathan supported continued to grow thanks to new partnerships forged during challenging times. He knew that the stability of these initiatives was crucial, not just for Anna's future, but for countless families facing hardship. At school, Anna's teachers noticed a quiet maturity blossoming within her. She was attentive, compassionate, and increasingly involved in peer support groups. Though she missed her mother's full energy, Anna found strength in their shared journey. One evening, Jonathan found Anna staring at the stars from their apartment balcony. He joined her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "Are you okay?" he asked. Gently. Anna nodded slowly. "I'm worried about Mom, but I'm also proud of how strong she is." Jonathan smiled, pulling her close. "We're stronger together, and we'll face whatever comes next as a family." As summer deepened, so did their resilience. The challenges tested their limits, but also revealed the depth of their love and commitment. Jonathan often reflected on the unlikely journey that had brought them together, from a chance encounter in a school cafeteria to building a family bound not just by blood, but by unwavering support. Despite the uncertainties, one truth remained clear. Together, they could weather any storm. And in the quiet moments between challenges, surrounded by laughter, hope, and the soft glow of evening, they found peace in the promise of tomorrow. A tomorrow built on courage, healing, and the unbreakable bonds of family. The hospital room was quiet, except for the soft beeping of monitors and the muted footsteps of nurses outside the door. Jonathan sat vigil beside Susan's bed, holding her hand as she slept, a fragile, peaceful pause in the storm they had weathered together. The weeks of exhaustion and treatment had taken their toll, but Susan's determination to recover burned bright in his heart. Anna visited daily, her small face pressed against the window, whispering words of encouragement to her mother. Jonathan watched their bond deepen with every passing moment, a testament to the resilience of love and family. One afternoon, Susan awoke to find Jonathan reading aloud from a book of poems they had shared on quiet evenings before her illness. Her eyes fluttered open, meeting his with a gentle smile. "You're here," she murmured. "Always," Jonathan replied softly. "We're in this together." The slow process of healing continued, marked by small victories and moments of frustration. Susan's physical therapy sessions grew longer, and her strength gradually returned, bolstered by the unwavering support of Jonathan and Anna. As she regained her health, Susan began to confront the emotional scars that had accompanied her physical struggles. The stress, isolation, and fear had left wounds that required as much care as her body. Jonathan encouraged open conversations, creating a safe space for Susan to express her fears and hopes. Together, they sought counseling, a step toward healing that embraced the mind and spirit alongside the body. Anna too found solace in therapy, learning to navigate the complex emotions of her childhood and the rapid changes in her family's life. Her youthful courage inspired both Jonathan and Susan, reminding them that healing was a shared journey. During one therapy session, Susan spoke candidly about her pride and vulnerability. "I want to be strong for Anna, but sometimes I feel like I'm breaking." Jonathan listened, offering comfort. "Strength isn't the absence of struggle. It's facing it together, leaning on those who love you." Their therapist nodded in agreement. "Healing is not linear. It's okay to have setbacks and moments of doubt." Back at home, the family settled into a new rhythm. Jonathan balanced his demanding work with his commitment to Susan and Anna, often working late into the night to secure funding for their community projects. The Foundation's programs flourished, providing resources and support to families facing hardships similar to their own. Jonathan's passion for social justice deepened, fueled by personal experience and a growing network of allies. One evening, as Jonathan prepared for a board meeting, Anna approached him with a handmade card. Inside was a simple message. "Thank you for believing in us." He smiled, touched by the gesture. "Thank you, Anna. You remind me why this work matters." Susan, now stronger but mindful of her limits, took joy in the small victories. A shared meal, a laugh, a quiet moment of peace. Together, they navigated the complexities of recovery and growth, aware that the road ahead would still hold challenges, but confident in their ability to face them united. The winter snow had melted, replaced by the promise of spring, when renewal and growth seemed inevitable. Jonathan stood on the balcony one evening, watching Anna and Susan in the garden below, their laughter ringing through the cool air. He felt a profound gratitude for the journey that had brought them here, from moments of pain and uncertainty to this fragile, beautiful present. Their family was no longer defined by hardship alone, but by the strength they found in one another and the hope they carried forward. As stars twinkled above, Jonathan whispered a silent vow to protect, to nurture, and to walk beside Susan and Anna through every chapter yet to come. In the quiet embrace of that night, surrounded by love and resilience, they knew they were ready for whatever the future held, together, unbreakable and full of hope. The golden hues of late spring bathed the city in a warm glow. As Jonathan, Susan, and Anna gathered in their modest living room, the space was filled with laughter, the scent of fresh flowers, and the comforting presence of family, a stark contrast to the lonely cafeteria where their journey had begun. Anna sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by her artwork. Her latest painting, a vibrant collage of colors and shapes, captured the essence of hope, strength, and unity. Jonathan admired the piece, seeing not just the skill, but the story had told, a reflection of their shared journey. Susan poured tea into delicate cups, her hand steady and sure. The years of struggle had shaped her into a woman of quiet resilience. Her smile now a beacon of the love that held them together. Jonathan looked around the room, his heart swelling with gratitude. "We've come so far," he said softly. "And yet, this is just the beginning." Anna looked up, eyes bright. "What comes next, Uncle Jonathan?" Jonathan smiled, his gaze steady. "Whatever we choose, together." Their story had been one of pain, perseverance, and profound transformation. From the shadows of hardship to the light of new beginnings, they had forged a family bound not just by blood, but by unwavering love and commitment. That evening, as they settled around the dinner table, Jonathan shared plans for expanding the foundation's outreach, new programs to support families like theirs, initiatives to combat discrimination, and nurture resilience in communities. Susan nodded in approval. "It's important work. It's how we make sure no child feels invisible." Anna chimed in, her voice full of conviction. "I want to help kids like me to show them they're not alone." Jonathan reached out, squeezing her hand. "And you will. You already do." Later, as the city lights twinkled outside their window, Jonathan reflected on the journey that had transformed their lives. The chance encounter in a school cafeteria had blossomed into a story of hope, courage, and change. A testament to the power of kindness and the strength of family. Susan leaned against him, her head resting on his shoulder. "Thank you for believing in us," she whispered. Jonathan kissed her forehead gently. "Thank you for trusting me." Anna curled up between them, her small hands clasped tightly in theirs. The three of them sat together, a family, forged in the fires of adversity and cooled in the waters of love. Outside, the night sky stretched endlessly, stars shimmering like promises waiting to be fulfilled. Their future was unwritten, but one thing was certain. Together they would face whatever came next with courage, compassion, and an unbreakable bond. And as the world turned, their story marked by struggle, redemption, and hope became a shining light for others. A reminder that no matter where you start, with love and determination, you can create a life worth living. In the warmth of their home, surrounded by the laughter and love they had fought so hard to build, Jonathan, Susan, and Anna knew they had found something precious and enduring, the true meaning of family. The story teaches us that true family is built not just by blood, but by love, trust, and unwavering support through life's challenges. It reminds us that kindness and compassion have the power to transform lives, breaking cycles of hardship and isolation. Most importantly, it shows that resilience, hope, and the courage to believe in a better future can help overcome even the deepest wounds, proving that together we are stronger and can create lasting pains.